You know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now, again, this past week there wasn't really anything major going on in the news. They're still talking about that stupid Sweeney ad. It's freaking retarded. They need to stop talking about it because it's dumb. Nobody cares. The other thing that I seen that they talked about was Trump just made a peace deal with like two countries from like Eastern Europe or some shit. I think I don't quote me on that. I don't remember what the two countries. It was two countries I've never really paid attention to, but they've been fighting for years and years, and apparently he just made a peace deal, negotiate a peace deal. So now they're talking about giving him the Nobel Peace Prize or whatever. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. More power to them. And I believe he's getting ready to talk to Putin in Alaska. They decided to meet up in Alaska, and they're going to talk about negotiating a peace deal with Ukraine and Russia. I don't know if that's going to work or not. We'll see. He's already tried a couple times, and Putin and Zelensky they do not want to get along. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Other than that, that's the only thing I really remember. Now, as far as entertainment goes, like Hollywood and shit like that, apparently Disney keeps failing with their movies. Freaky Friday or another Freaky Friday, whatever you want to call it, it's bombed. It didn't do jack shit. The only movie that's made a significant amount of money in return is some horror movie called Weapons, which I really don't care to see. And if you haven't seen it, you might want to skip for like 30 seconds ahead, because I'm going to tell you, the whole plot is literally about a serial killer who brings home teenagers for his serial killer parents to eat. They're cannibals. It's like, well, this is not a new story. And everybody's all like, oh, it's good. It might be a good movie, but it's just not my forte. I'm really tired of all this, the stalker, serial killer crap for horror flicks. If you're going to do a horror flick, start coming out with some supernatural shit. Stop doing all the horror, serial killer crap. It's ridiculous. But anyways, that's all I really seen that I can think of at the top of my head. There might have been a couple other minor things, but anyways, let's get on to what I really want to talk to you about. I told you I had a lot of stuff backed up, and I intend to get to them all. I just finished off the last video with the Monsters series, the anthology series. And before I get into this one, for those of you who've been watching my gaming channel, or my other channel, it's not just a gaming channel, but I've been doing a game vlog on that one. If the quality of the camera I was using my phone camera, and for whatever reason the autofocus sucks ass on it. Anytime the screen would change or some shit, it would just, the autofocus would screw it up. So it's not terrible looking, but you know, it's just, there's parts of it that's kind of blurry or whatever. I don't like it, so I'll be using a different camera from now on. Eventually I'll get a new camera. I'm working on it, a better quality. But yeah, I just wanted to let all you know that if you've been watching my gaming vlogs, understand that I'm changing cameras so for better quality. I don't like the way it turned out this last video. So as I've said before, even if you don't watch the channel regularly and you've only seen a couple videos, or you don't watch it at all, it only takes 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't affect you or your channel whatsoever. It just helps this channel grow. So please subscribe. Also, I have another channel. It's called Easy Does It. The link is in the About section. Check it out if you like gaming vlogs and reviews and reactions to other YouTube channels. Okay. Again, subscribe. Alright, moving on. So I just got done watching, not too long ago, the old 70s, 80s show called The Land of the Lost. Now I know Will Ferrell tried to do a freaking movie about, you know, not too long ago, and it was god awful. It was terrible. It wasn't even close to what the show was. It was some off the wall idiot Hollywood writer that wrote some dumbass, you know, like spoof comedy about it. It was dumb. Anyway, in this show, you have a father and his kids, a girl and a boy, teenagers, and they decide to go rafting. But there's a dimensional door, time door, that opens up, and they end up falling over this waterfall that opens up like this canyon that sends them into this strange world where dinosaurs live, and it's kind of prehistoric. You have some like ape men or whatever, and you got some lizard people they call slee stacks. Now I remember this when I was a small kid. I was really young when this show was out and playing on Saturday morning cartoons kind of shit, because it was kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon for kids, but at the same time it was more adult themed. Like, it was adult sci-fi is what it was, but it came off really goofy looking, so a lot of people just put it on, and the fact they kept putting it on Saturday mornings for kids to watch, they just put it off more of like a kids show. But honestly, the story wasn't that way. Anyways, they get lost in this world, and they're trying to figure a way to get home throughout the entire series. There's only 3 seasons. The first 2 seasons had the dad and the 2 teenage kids. And then the 3rd season, the dad left and they brought in the uncle. Somehow the uncle shows up and he kind of takes the dad's spot. Now, the first season, they really ended it like they could have just not done any more. Like they had a really good ending for the show. You know, they went home. They finally made it home through a time door, thanks to a slee stack that was from the slee stack's past. He came to the future. His name was like Enoch or something like that. He was like gold and brown or some shit. He wasn't green like the other slee stack. He wasn't using primitive weapons or anything. He always used the crystals. There's these crystals that, for whatever reason, they do weird shit when they're in these little like tables or whatever. There's rows of them in this like square table or whatever, and when you put them in there, they do weird shit. But he used the crystals. He was really smart and intelligent, and he'd help them every now and then in the episodes, to his benefit though. Remember that, it was to his benefit. Anyways, he got them home in the first season. So, and he's there because he's always trying to figure out a way to get home too. He can't. He's supposed to be this really highly intelligent, and he's so close, but he can't ever figure out how to get his ass home. Whatever. Anyways, in the second season, they bring them all back, but they don't explain how they got all back. Like they're just there again for whatever reason. And now, the little 8 men or whatever, they can speak better English. Like it's broken English, but you know, like a kid. But you know, like food good, you know, that kind of way. But they can speak better English, and for whatever reason, somehow the family is able to speak their language, the 8 men's language, just easily. You know, that don't make no sense, but whatever. Anyways, the third season, supposedly the dad disappears through another time door, and the uncle shows up, and he says he was following them because they've been gone for so long, like weeks, and he decided to track them down, and he figured out that they went down this river, blah blah, on a raft, and then all of a sudden he's caught up in the same dimensional door. Same shit happens to him, and he ends up with them. Now they end off the series on a cliffhanger because they're still there at the end of the third season. You know, nobody's gotten home. And in the third season, they introduce a lot of. In the first 2 seasons, there's not that many. Every now and then they'd have like someone else shows up in the land of the lost and helps them out or whatever, and then they help them get home. It's always they are helping the person that showed up get back home from that same episode, but they can't ever get home. In the third season, it's like every episode is like that. There's a person that they're constantly helping to get home. It's not like that in the first 2 seasons. It was just every once in a while. They also introduced some space alien who gets hurt by emotions or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of strange. and he's kind of invisible but not invisible sometimes. He crash landed there, and he's kind of stuck there too. And there's a few episodes with him as well. They're not really enemies, but they're not friends. It's kind of strange. He's there to study the humans, so he says. But anyways, the show was all right. It wasn't bad. It was, like I said, it was more adult themed sci-fi. It was just goofy looking, so they determined it was a kids show. They never ever really explained these little golden triangular things they call pylons. Each one controlled certain aspects of the world. Like some of them controlled weather, others controlled the heart of the place, and all kinds of shit. They did all kinds of weird shit, these pylons. They had the little table with the crystals in them too, and you move the crystals around and do something for them. But they did weird shit too, but they were never really explained. It was just assumed that they were from the Sleestaks in the past, in Enoch's time, and that they're the ones who created. But Enoch acted like he didn't know much about the pylons. He knew how to manipulate some of the crystals, but he's all like, my people didn't create this shit. It wasn't from the Sleestaks. I don't know where these came from. They just always been here, kind of thing. Because they have the Sleestak Lost City, and they run into that all the time. But anyways, it was a weird, and they never explained the so-called Sleestak god, whatever it is. It's down in some pit that they all worship. And then by season 2, they introduced the Sleestak heads. They're like, I don't know what you'd call them. They're like oracles or some shit. These little heads, Sleestak heads that they have on pedestals. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and each one gives them a different type of reading or some shit. Like one will read the past, one will read the future, kind of shit like that. It was weird. And then all of a sudden, in the first season, the Sleestaks weren't organized. But by the second season, they had one leader who ran like this council of 3 or 4 Sleestaks, and they ran everything for the Sleestaks. That was a bit strange too, but I get it. Whatever. It didn't bother me all that much. What did bother me is they had one really intelligent Sleestak that was green. He was from that time. They had one episode with him, and then he said he'd help them out eventually, but he never showed back up. You never saw him again. Just that one episode. Anyways, it was a decent show. I liked it. I just thought it was cheesy as hell. I wish they'd do a updated version of this show, but not like the movie from Will Ferrell. That was dumber than shit. I'm talking about the actual show. Anyways, 2 thumbs up. It's a great show. It's just really cheesy looking. Like the graphics are not good. Other than that, the story was great. Alright, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Okay, movieaholics, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Now, this week is Horror Week. this time we're going to do, we haven't done it in a good minute. Let's do some creature features this round. There's several subgenres, and I figured we'd do some creature. Now, when I think of creature features, I think of like animals or supernatural beings like werewolves and shit like that. Some screwed up mutation of an animal or some shit like that. I don't consider a creature feature to be like an alien or some shit, you know. That's sci-fi alien crap, and I don't consider that creature features. Anyways, I usually don't do this type of creature feature just because I'm not a big fan of like you know, water-based creatures like fish and shit. But I said, screw it. It's fairly well known. I'll go ahead and do it and get it over with. Everybody knows it's B-rated, but why not? So, this week we are covering Piranha and Piranha 2. And the first one was done in 1978. It made about 16 million worldwide. That's actually pretty decent for back then, and the fact that it was the type of movie it was. It starred Bradford Dillman and Heather Urich. Two unknowns, I've never heard of them. Anyways, the story is two teens at the beginning of the movie are from this camp that's a bit down the river. They used to have them all the time, the summer camps. Anyways, they're from a summer camp. I'm not sure if they're considered. I guess they would be teenagers or just young people. You know, the counselors or whatever. Anyways, they go up to this old shut down army fishing hatchery, or whatever you want to call it, and they go to an area that looks like a pool, and they decide that they're going to go swimming in this fucking pool instead of the river. Makes a whole lot of sense, don't it? So they go, and you know, naturally they get killed. There's piranha in the fucking pool. Go another. Anyways, there's a reporter. She goes out looking for him. Apparently, I'm not sure, I can't remember if she was friends with someone who knew them or whatever and asked her to look into it or some shit. So she went up there to look into it. Now you meet two guys up there. One's he's like in his 40s or some shit, and the other guy, he's an old man. He's like 50, 60 years old. But anyways, they're only two that's basically living up on this mountain with this river or whatever, and then the summer camps down below towards the end of the river that branches off and goes into the ocean. Now through the show, they're trying to stop these fish from going into the ocean. That's the main plot. Apparently there was a scientist that was working on piranha because they wanted to send them to Vietnam during the Vietnam War to pollute their waters and kill off all the fish and shit in the waters. These piranha, they were given a dose of intelligence. You know, no, really, like we've never heard that before. And they were giving more violent tendencies, all all the bad shit, basically, that you could think of to give these fish, and they were a mutant strain. Anyways, this reporter woman, I don't know who wrote this character, but she is dumber than a box of rocks. The guy that she's with, he's dumber than a box of rocks, but for a different reason. She shows up. She just walks into his house, basically. I mean, he tells her the door's open, but she just walks into his fucking cabin or out in the woods and tells him that he's going to help her fucking search for these kids. And he's like, bitch, I don't even fucking know you. What the fuck? But he does it. Like, what? This fucking dude's an idiot. He just does what she tells him to do. It's so fucking dumb. Anyway, she interrogates him, like, constantly. Nagging him and all kinds of shit. It's super annoying. And she's not even that good looking. I mean, she's not bad looking, but she's not that good looking. Anyways, he's dumber than a box of rocks because he's an alcoholic. I mean, he's constantly drinking, so he's dumber than shit. At first I thought, well, this is an okay movie. It doesn't seem too terribly bad. Until they get to the summer camp. Once they get down the river and they start getting to the summer camp, it started getting really stupid. Anyways, they find the scientists at the old army facility that was the hatchery. And this dumb bitch, she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She don't know how to run any equipment or anything. She just thinks she should drain the fucking pool just because. I just want to drain the pool. Fuck it, why not? So she goes over there and flips this switch, and the scientist shows up that's been staying there, and he's like, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? Anyway, when she drains the pool, it releases all the damn fucking piranha, or fish, into the river. Now they're on their way to the fucking camp. So they gotta call the military and say, hey, you're fucking, lethal fish. We just released them into the fucking river, and now they're gonna go kill a bunch of people and then probably end up in the ocean. Because the scientists made it to where they can live in fresh water and salt water. Because it's a hybrid. So she's a fucking idiot. This woman's an idiot. She keeps telling everybody what to fucking do. And they just do it. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? She don't know jack shit. She's a reporter. Why is everybody listening to this dumb woman? Anyways. The fish attack the campers. They're all little kids. Like 10 to 12 years old or some shit. Or like 8 to 12. And they're all out in the river with their... give me a minute. I'm trying to think what they're... inner tubes. They're all in on these inner tubes with a couple of female counselors. And they get attacked. Well, all the kids, instead of running to the bank of the river, they just sat in their inner tubes and let the fish start chewing them up. And this one guy, who's kind of like the leader of the camp or whatever, he's the manager, he starts getting bit and he starts grabbing these kids and tossing them up on the riverbank, which, I get, but at the same time, it's like, why are these kids just sitting there? Why don't they swim to the bank? It makes literally no sense. So they just sit out there. And the same thing with the counselors, the two female counselors. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you just sitting there? This one kid, who's the daughter of the drunk dude, she decides to grab a boat and try to get out there and get the two counselors. But they're idiots. They don't get in the boat. And the good looking one, she falls out and gets drugged to the bottom of the riverbed by the fish and gets eaten up when she could have swam to shore. It just made no sense, because it wasn't like they were like doing it in minutes like you hear about them doing it. You know, they were just taking nibbles off of them. They could have had time to get to the shore before they lost too much flesh. Now, the other one, the dumb blonde counselor, she's like, oh, I lost my friend, I couldn't help her, blah, 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 blah. She's fucking idiot, you know, whatever. She wasn't ugly, but she wasn't like nearly as good looking as the brown haired girl. Anyways, not only that, there's an event going on further down the river, closer to the where it cuts off to where it branches off into the ocean. And down there, there's a bunch of people swimming down there too. And they try to get hold of them to get them to stop, and they don't listen. So they have to race down there to get to them. And then fucking with the general or colonel or whatever, he tries to get them to fucking stop the event. They're not listening, and the fish show up and they start attacking them, blah blah blah. They gotta get everybody out of the water. Lots of people die, blah blah. That's ridiculous. But anyways, they figure a way to pump this fucking gassy chemical into the water to kill all the fish, supposedly. And that's the end of the movie. It was pretty cheesy. I mean, showing the fish going every time they showed the fish, you know, you'd hear that sound. And I was just like, what the okay, whatever. This was really it was a really cheesy movie, but for whatever reason back then it got popular. Would I recommend it? Maybe for a one-time watch, if you really want to watch it and you're into fish. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It's maybe worth a one-time watch. I mean, I was able to watch it, you know, it didn't put me to sleep, but it wasn't really that great of a movie. And like I said, the main girl, she's so dumb. She's making all these horrible decisions for everybody, and the guys just let her do it. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's so dumb. But anyways, let's get on to the second one. Now the next one is called Piranha 2, but it's called The Spawning, or The Flying Fish, or some shit. Flying Killers, that was it, aka The Flying Killers, in other parts of the world. It was done in 1982, and it only made about 2 million worldwide. Now this was also James Cameron, the one who did, you know, Terminator or whatever. This was his debut. And he literally ignores it. He doesn't want anything to do, or he tried to get his name taken off. It was so bad. This movie was a super bomb. Now this movie stars Lance Henriksen, which I like Lance Henriksen. He's fine in this movie. I mean, he just does some great acting. But he couldn't even save this movie. And then the female lead was Trisha O'Neill. She's a good-looking broad. But anyways, now supposedly they're in the middle of a divorce in this movie. Their characters. And I don't blame them for the bomb, the actors. It was the writers, and James Cameron just did a shitty job directing this movie. But anyways, um, apparently from the last movie, they had some sample eggs stored away, and there was a shipping container or something, maybe a helicopter or something, that was carrying these eggs, and it sank or some shit, and 3 of them were recovered. Vials of eggs were recovered, but there was a 4th one, and it was never found. There's this guy who shows up who starts messing with Lance's ex-wife, and he was using her to find out if she knew anything about these eggs, because he's trying to find them. He's freaking out because there was a murder, a fish attack or whatever, and near this resort or whatever that they're staying at. The wife and Lance works for. Now Lance is like a security officer or some shit like that. But he starts investigating because several people ended up getting killed by these fish, and he can't explain what kind of fish they are. Nobody seems to know what kind of fish are killing them, except for the dude who claims he's from a scientist from the original project or whatever, from the government. And he's not for sure until he starts seeing them. Now these fish are flying fish. They're flying piranha, so they can fly. Now, when you're talking about flying fish, they can glide a certain distance, sometimes a fairly good distance. But in this movie, they make it to where they're like bats or some shit. They're literally flapping their wings and flying around and killing people. It was so dumb. I mean, it was terrible, and you could tell they were like little plastic fish. It was so bad. The graphics and shit were so, and of course you had that sound when they're in the water, again, whenever you'd see them. It's so annoying and dumb. Anyways, they kill several people. Lance Henriksen figures a way to kill them all, and like blows them up or some shit, with the help of his ex-wife or whatever. She goes down the ocean with the army dude, and they set up some bombs where the nest is. Apparently they have a nest in this sunken ship, and they go and blow them up. I was like, okay, whatever. Anyways, that's the end of the movie. It was pretty cheesy. The story was pretty lame. The acting was good. The actors were great. It was just, the story was just terrible. It was terrible. Poor James Cameron. So yeah, James Cameron is never going to live this one down. It's going to be a stain on his deal forever. But he recovered.
You know who I am?
Alright. I do not recommend this movie. 2 thumbs down. It was terrible. I know there's some spin-offs and even a remake that was done in like 2012 or some shit like that. But they were all spoofs. They did spoofs on it. It wasn't like a realistic type horror movie. They were horror comedy or some shit. Anyways, that's all I have for you this week. If you can think of anything, any underrated or B-rated you think I never even heard of movies, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I told you you'd be told the truth, and you've just been told.